Hello, one and all, and welcome back to Untier Talk, where I'm back in that place with that really annoying thing that's going to make the audio sound like crap. Good luck, have fun. We got Hajad, we got Termi. They don't have to hear it, so congrats, guys. It's,
We win.
you win.
Yes, I always
Let's
win.
so this is one of those weeks where okay. So first of all, is tier shifts. They were big, not as big as we thought they were going to be, but they were still very big. And then we unbanned some shit, and then we banned some shit, um, and that's just a lot to cover. It's an awful lot, um, and obviously, it deserves some kind of recognition. But I think maybe we could cut it down to the stuff we're most interested in. I don't think a ton needs to be said about the banning of Sox, Silvally Dark, Galvantula. That was all pretty much across the board people were fine with. I think we should just briefly run over the mons that are fun and scary and how we're feeling about the meta or whatever. Um, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But it's a weird shift. I'm really happy about Alchemy. We finally have a kind of sick fairy type that's not like Mr. Mime or Togetic or Shiinotic, these things with very basic flaws. Alchemy, it's pretty good. It's kind of strong. Calm Mind, Recover, Acid Armor. You got Grass, Psychic, um, Fire coverage for your fairy. Like it works. It's a perfectly functional actual fairy type. That's really cool to have in
It's
the
dark
tier.
resist.
Yeah, it's a
Its
dark.
dark resist doesn't lose to attract Lifer, so that's good.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it could still lose to attract Viper probably.
Well, yeah, but it's a 50% chance. I think you can just make a female and then add a male throw, and you will always beat it. Oh my god, you're so
So
cool.
yeah, that's a fair point. Always make your alchemy female.
Always.
Well, yeah, because
Well, it's
male life
running.
because female Lightbird is the thing that you do because throw is always male. That's the point.
Ah, right. Right. It's not because the gender is just fixed.
Yeah. What else? What
Okay.
else do you guys want to cover? There's a whole list of new mons. They are all relevant or interesting in some way. Plus the Tangle loss. That sucks, but whatever. We're not getting that back
Yeah.
for a while. But yeah, whatever you guys want to cover, because it's a lot of shit.
I heard. I saw people talking earlier today in the PU Discord about wish porting Executor. I didn't know that was a thing. Or is that like a thing really late towards when Executor was last in the turn?
I have
I had never seen it, and it doesn't
I have
sound good.
experience with teleport. I did not get around to using Wish. Like, honestly, I feel that's kind of because at the end of the day, your defensive typing isn't that good, and you kind of just want to be able to spam attacks, and having to dedicate 3 slots to support moves or so, just feels kind of a waste of an Executor. Um,
Yeah,
but it could make work
the only thing I
depending
like
on how
about
you
it is that if they keep going hard Pharisee, then you just get to heal shit.
Yeah. I mean, at most, first people get knockoff on everything, but yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, knockoff or leech siege or something annoying, but relatively speaking, you can just heal your shit. So that's something.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. I personally I don't like the well, when I say I don't like the presence of true specs in the tier because it's really good. But yeah,
But we have several breakers now that are in that realm of can you really switch into them without these couple of specific things? No, and I think that's worth considering how much people hate them because Specs Aggie completely blew up the tier and was unwallable, and I was like, well, we got to get rid of this, and council voted to ban it, and people were like, wow, this is such a controversial ban. This is what is council doing? That I never I get people disagreed, but this was never something I could really explain beyond why are we having this thing that just breaks the tier. So I was like, okay, we'll try it now. So Eggy does that. Cursula is the other big thing that does that. You can't switch into Cursula without the specific things, but they're slow. And it's kind of frail, bad defensive typing. I don't know that it's good for the tier, but
You're talking about Kazola, right? The
Cursula.
fat special attack thing.
Cursula.
Are you talking about Corsola or Cursola?
Cursula. If I mean Corsola, I'll go Corsola. I'm saying Cursula. I also said it's an unwallable breaker. If I say it's an unwallable breaker, you guess which one I mean, Jad.
Oh, okay. Right. I've got you. Yeah, the unwallable breaker is very good as well. I went to ban that as well.
Yeah.
You almost did.
It's not faster than much, but it's faster than most rockers you want for balance. If you're going max speed Cursula, it's going to be outspeeding Runarigus and Ferroseed and Galarian Corsola and Stunfisk. So it's a big spooky thing that Type Null can wall, and you can annoy it with Kangaskhan, like it can't hit a move safely, and Bouffalant, I guess, but there's not much you can actually do about it.
Yeah, it's pretty scary to be honest. I personally like the sub 3 attack sets or sub 2 attacks with like sub strength sap and like 2 attacks. They're pretty cool.
I've not seen that, but that sounds pretty scary.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't really need much more. Like, you only need, like, Shadow Ball and something to hit things that resist Shadow Ball with, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been messing around with loads of different things. Like, Shadow Ball plus E-Power is, like, the most common thing that I was using, but I've also been trying just some random coverage. Like, I had Giga Drain at one point and Hydro, and, like, I've been trying literally everything, see what's up.
Yeah, I'm also interested in, like, specs, just because, like, with that kind of special attack, like, your Hydro Pump, for example, already hits, like, basically as though it's just, like, a really strong stab attack, and, like, I'm sure it just does a shit ton to things like Kangaskhan. Wait, I'm gonna count that, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it almost OHKOs Kangaskhan, but not quite, if I remember the count.
Are you kidding me? Kangaskhan is bulky, though.
If I might not be remembering that right, but I feel like it did, like, 80 or something.
Yeah, but even then, it's, like, I think the key thing with this one is just that, like, it's like it's not easy to revenge kill. Like people will say, oh, but it's frail and you know it's slow. It's like, yeah, it's slow, sure, but the whole thing about being slow is that you can just easily pressure it. But because it has so much special defense, like you can't just bring in anything. It has to be a physical one.
It seems like
that breaks down half the tier.
And I'm catching up on this stuff. I was like sick for a week. I didn't do any snake building or new meta playing or anything, so I'm trying to catch up. It really seems kind of stupid. It feels like a mon I would have voted ban on, although Hijad was the only initial ban vote, just because it doesn't seem like it should have that much problem getting the time to just come in and murder something, especially with parting shot support or good pivoting on special attackers. I don't really know what you're meant to do about it.
Yeah, I think the specs at the 73 minimum with Hydro Pump on Kangaskhan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was definitely on the same page where it kind of is just one of those things where it's like, okay, in theory we don't really have a lot of stuff for this, but like, I would still have to see how it shakes out in practice, because I didn't see it do a whole lot of stuff other than just like do some Suicide Rock stuff, which is not that impressive. Like, it still is good, but it just hasn't seemed to me like just like completely destroys games, so I have to give it a few moments to see what it actually does.
I can't see it ever destroying games. I can just see it being like, you can't do anything about this. You just have to, you know, it's just the forced free kill that, you know, that's okay.
Tammy, also, can you count Hyper Beam? How much does Hyper Beam do to Kanga?
Hyper Beam? Why would you run that? Come on.
I mean, if Hydra does 71 minimum, I don't think it OHKOs without hazards, but I think
it actually does. Okay, its minimum roll is 100 precisely.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, that's the set. That's it. It's broken.
Yeah. Other things people are talking about. Galarian Corsola. See, you can tell the difference between. That's a pretty hard mon to kill. It's like the only reason it's not incredibly stupid immediately is just strength sap is sometimes unreliable and lets you pressure with special stuff, blah blah blah. But my god, just spreading wisp and how hard Nightshade hits in a tier like this and that kind of stuff. It's a really strong mon that I think directly changes how I have to build teams in a lot of ways.
Yeah, 100%. I think the thing with Corsola is that um, if you combine it with some decent like cleric supports like aromatherapy or like heal bell or whatever, it becomes just ridiculously hard to kill because especially a lot of the Flareon in particular has like wish and stuff to pass into it. So then it becomes like a question of okay, well, how much do you want to invest in killing a Corsola, and is that like limiting your actual team?
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. And then like there's another handful of good but not super broken, just like pretty interesting drops. There's Avalug, Cramorant, Jolteon, Pharisee, Quagsire. But the other kind of controversial thing I would say right now is Pinkerton, because terrain is very scary. So far, I haven't found electric terrain too stupid, especially without Galvantula, which was super broken on its own. It's kind of hard to spam Rising Voltage. I don't think having an electric immunity on every single team is in any way unreasonable. So you're either like not getting to specs it or just like doing less damage to things. There's a lot of random resists, but it's the overall presence of constantly like having good terrain support. Also, seed stuff with Misharna and Drifblim is quite good. That make it. I don't know that I'm near a ban yet, but it's definitely something a lot of people have been posting about. Council's looking at all that kind of stuff.
I think if anything breaks, electric surge Pinkerton, it would be probably the electric seed stuff. I feel because honestly, the thing is like, yeah, like okay, you get a supercharged Jolteon or whatever, and like of course that's kind of annoying to deal with if like your electric immunity is heavily pressured or whatever. But like you still like in order to win with like like electric spam or whatever, you still need to make the right calls and predictions in order to get your opponent's ground or like lightning rod, incursion or whatever out of the way. And I feel like with like electric seed stuff, like the actual counterplay to it is way more like that stuff's way more difficult to account for the builder. Like you can't just say like, okay, I have my ground type, I'm good. Like you need to be like, okay, how am I gonna deal with like a Swoobat with +2 defense? How am I gonna deal with a Musharna with rest and Coal Mine and Store Power and defense boost? How am I gonna deal with I don't know like Rapidash or Alchemy or stuff like that? Like these are all things that like you could just run and like could be really difficult to take down because like you can't really beat them offensively as easily, especially like stuff like Musharna. So I would really want to see like if that does not end up being overbearing because yeah, like oftentimes you just end up having to hope for a crit and that's not really ideal.
Yeah, no, pretty much.
Yeah, with terrain, I feel like a key thing that's like underrated is that a lot of the things in the tier depend on like rest, and under terrain you can't rest up obviously, so that opens up the playstyle to like things like Titanol. Like electric terrain is nowhere near as weak as Titanol or as weak as Titanol as people might try and suggest.
Yeah, our best super fat blankets, Typenol and Galarian Corsola. Electric terrain like doesn't care about strength sap and it can't rest. So that leaves you with Pharisee. Throw in there what?
Yeah.
You were gonna say Pharisee, right?
No, throw.
Oh, throw. Yeah, okay, throw can't rest. Although people have kind of stopped running Spadef throw, which I still think is good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just new toy syndrome.
Yeah.
New toys and stuff.
Throw is amazing. Like, I mean, again, like, I have been trying to, like, mess around with, like, Kangaspike's teams, and, like, I haven't really found, like, the formula where I feel, like, comfortable, taking on every major threat in the tier, but I'm getting there. But in any case, like, Throw is, like, such a good mon for that kind of team, because, like, aside from being, like, a rare, like, good dark resist, like, the amount of shuffling and, like, knocking boots that it can do is just, like, so fucking good, and just, like, and it's so hard to actually kill. Like, even now, like, I still feel that Throw is, like, easily, like up there with the best of them. Like, it's still just insanely good. And I think especially in like a more spikes heavy meta, like this like set can just like do a lot.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and agree with you then.
All right. Any other random things about the drops and meta and stuff that you feel like sharing? Could also save like funky sets for
Okay.
given corner.
Can somebody explain to me how Cramorant works? How Gulp Missile works?
Yeah. Okay. So
I
if
am
it
still
uses Surf or Dive, but never use Dive, if it uses Surf and it's above 50% health, it swallows an Arrokuda. If it's below 50% health, it swallows a Pikachu. Now, whenever it's hit by any attack, not just contact attack, it spits it out.
Okay.
The Arrokuda
Okay.
does 25% of your health and a defense drop. The Pikachu does 25% of your health and a paralysis.
I see.
If you switch out, it loses the thing.
Okay, so you just click Surf once and then that constantly goes off, or is it just for that turn?
No, you click Surf once, and then when you hit, you spit it out, and then you have to Surf again to get a new one. But until you switch or spit it out, it stays there.
But it stays with you, so it's not like you Surf on this turn and the opponent doesn't hit you, like the fish or Pikachu stays in its mouth, so like you can still preserve it.
So I've been messing with what's the move called? Where you can't die. Endure Cramorant to live the hit and do the spit. That's extra funny with Rocky Helmet and stuff like that. The problem is really just anything fat kind of sits on Cramorant pretty well. Your typical Ferroseed, Corsola, type null, not throw because Hurricane, but defensive psychics, that kind of stuff.
Basically stuff that doesn't get to KO. Yeah, it's not that strong. Like I realized, especially in the game we played, that just in general, like 85 special attack is not scary.
And not every team has something that fat, so it can be pretty annoying, but it can also be very weird, and that damage utility is a huge part of what it does, because otherwise, it's pretty weak, kind of frail.
It's a cool mod though, I guess.
Sorry.
That's a
I think Cramorant has a lot of untapped potential, to be honest. I think that like people are gonna figure out some kind of set that like maximizes like how annoying Gold Missile is, and like
it's pretty much.
It's incredibly annoying to play against. I swear, like I've used this thing in RU, like in alpha or something, and like it was actually so fucking annoying. Like it's really quite impressive, but like it's weird because on one hand, like you feel like nothing really walls it because like that stab combo is so good, but on the other hand, like it also just doesn't do the kind of damage to where you're like, oh god, this thing just beats me. It's in a weird position. It could be a good defogger.
Yeah, I think it'll just end up being annoying though. Like a good thing that just fucks with your team, and then you lose to something else because you just got fucked with by a Cramorant. It's not going to be the crazy thing on its own.
For sure. Should we talk about perrserker for a sec, because we dropped that, and I'm not sure like how you guys are feeling about that.
I was going to say about perrserker and Sylvardi bug, because I got a couple of comments for wanting to ban it. Or the bug at least.
Yeah, go ahead.
The cat is just broken. Like I still think it's just ridiculous because its ability to just pivot on the things that currently switch in on it, right? It doesn't even need to do that. Oftentimes, it just has the coverage to take on Ferroseed.
It does have the coverage for everything. If I ran into a banded perrserker, I don't know what I would do about it. It's the same thing as Cursula and Eggy, except it doesn't. Except like those things have like a couple switch-ins. Perrserker doesn't really have those. It just has the conditional ability to play around it. But even that is like you get it wrong and you close combat into something. For the most part, you're still doing a hefty chunk of damage.
that's the only redeeming factor to Berserker in this tier at the moment is the fact that you can run Assault Vest and check like 80% of the tier in one set, which is pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth having just something. It's the same 4 moves every time. It's like Iron Head, not super power, close combat, seed bomb, and U-turn, and you just can't switch into it, like no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's why I
swords,
don't like Berserker.
And don't get me wrong, swords and stuff is also pretty cool too. And if it subs on your Pharaoh seed, GG was closet. Yeah, I was the only one who shifted the vote, and it wasn't because I thought it would be less broken. It was because I was like this. Clearly, in both the room and the Discord, the active people were like, yeah, let's try this out. Like, fucking fine, okay. And I don't think it's still going to completely murder Snake games, because this is already like a weird new tier, and the things that are broken don't always get used as much as over prep for, like Lilligant these last couple weeks, that kind of stuff. But I do think it directly makes the meta worse. I just can't imagine what you're supposed to do about this thing. It hasn't been made obvious to me. And I had people like trying to debate me for a while on the Discord when Berserker hadn't been unbanned yet. They're like, no, but how's it a problem? Look, it's I'm like, but what do you switch into it? And I never got an answer, and I still don't know. And I'm not saying people don't have arguments for it, but I do not understand.
Strangely enough, I find myself like, okay, I did vote to like unban it because I wanted to try it, but like I find myself now like leaning more towards ban than I did when like we originally banned it. Because like at the time, you had like a meta where like Stunfist was basically the best mon in the game, and you also often ran rest on it or some shit. So like it didn't just die, and like you had like your thing for Berserker kind of, and yeah, sure, like you could still do a lot of work, but like I don't know. I feel like at the time Assault Vest was also just like more necessary to run, whereas now I feel like you can kind of build your team in such a way where like you can have your like SD or choice band Berserker and not immediately be weak to certain things. So I think it's a lot easier right now to run like the sets that broke it, and so I'm sort of apprehensive. Like I don't think we can just like expect people to just like have a Quillfish in every team and then still like take like I don't know like 35% from a choice band Ironhead or something. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
So I think we can ban this probably, hopefully soon, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that I was willing to experiment with in the first place, because it's like everyone was saying, oh look, but we got Galvantula, Jolteon, and Cramorant. Like we got some checks. And I'm like,
yeah,
no, we didn't.
It's not. That ain't it, Chief.
Yeah. The other thing was, the other thing I've been getting shit for more than anything has been Silvally Bug, because I'm the only one who voted ban on that.
Well, yeah, for that one, I'm sorry.
That I don't know. Like, it doesn't do anything for the tier, and I get okay. Let's just not have it around. But so far I haven't made a team or seen other people's teams or whatever and been like, yeah, you can't do anything about Silvally Bug, and I don't know how to change that. I don't know.
So my defense towards that would be like, with Silvally Bug, it's more about the pivoting than it is about the out and out like dominating the game or breaking.
Yeah, but the problem is it doesn't really pivot on that much, and that's what I've been most impressed by. I think if the meta shifts again to the kind of things that I can't leave this in on Silvally Bug, it does way too much, fine. But so far I haven't really seen any games where there's so much that like Silvally Bug is just freely hitting U-turn and you're forced to like take 70% or it just keeps pivoting. I think that's the critical thing where we're like differentiated on you versus like everyone else.
Right, that's an interesting thing, because for me at least, the thing with Silvallies in general, the thing that they have that nothing else in the tier really does have is that like a general bulk, which means they're really hard to revenge kill, and also the speed and the power that goes with it. Like it's just a general all-around good thing. And then when you add stab U-turn into that, it becomes this thing where it's like, okay, well, do you want to lose momentum, or do you want to lose a lot of health in this fast one? And oftentimes, in the case, or in my case at least, there isn't really a good middle ground, because you don't have good tanks, at least for that specific Pokemon. And then even then, like, if you go on.
But I mean, like, we literally have like Bullfish, which you can run Rocky Helmet on. We have stuff like, we have Steel types right now. We have Reneragus. We have Corsola, Galar.
Most of the defensive tier, like, is pretty fine versus it.
Yeah.
And most of the offensive tier is not that bad versus it. And I haven't. What I would need to see is so many more teams that at least have 1 to 2 of, like, I cannot keep letting this U-turn on my Appleton, my Mr. Rhyme, my Lipard, my Hatchram. That's not happening. I'm just not seeing it. That's pretty much how it was when we banned Silvally Bug, except also Sword Stance was just broken on its own. It didn't have to pivot. But that's not there. And I don't really want the tier because I just don't want to mess with more Silvallies. But now that it's here, I don't feel any need to kick it out.
Yeah, maybe it's just a case of it being like an isolated threat in a really threat heavy meta at the moment, considering we have so much shit going on. But yeah, I guess we wait and see what happens, because it's still new. The tier is still developing.
Yeah. So that was about 25 minutes on the new meta. Let's do a lot of Snake, which has none of these mons.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, we can go through this week a little faster. I think the games aren't as crazy. False versus Vulpix 03 is the first one I have here. And this feels very much like the last week Vulpix 03's game, where I think he's got a fine team and he plays fine, and then an opponent who you thought might beat him just kind of loses at him. And I don't have much more on this game. And I don't think False played it right, and I don't think Vulpix did anything bad or had the chance to do anything good.
Right. To be honest with you, I like both teams. I think both teams are fine. Like, Vulpix's team looks like a pretty good rendition on balance, whereas False's team is a bit more, I guess, tank for tank, trade for trade. But I like it. I think in between at least the Null and the Unpheasant, especially with the Heatmore as well, you can put a lot of pressure on defensive cores, whilst not being that vulnerable to offense. But yeah, I think generally speaking, Vulpix did. I just think he just clicked the correct buttons, and then False was just attacking constantly and was just like, oh, I don't have stuff for this anymore because I sacked it because I was attacking so much. That's how it felt to me, at least.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game did come down close. Vulpix, basically, False needed to get a full para on the Galarian Rapidash to get the sub up with his Heatmore. I'm pretty sure it needed to be the first sub in order to live an Unpheasant Brave Bird after some Giga Drain recovery on Vulpix's Stunfisk. So it had to be that first time para for this sequence to like play out as it did, which he got. But then Vulpix immediately manages to dodge a Fire Blast after that, at which point the game comes down to, I believe, a speed tie between their two Scarf Unpheasants.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were both talking about the game later. I'm pretty sure it was a speed tie, which Vulpix ended up winning. So I'm not saying like False completely messed it up and threw it away completely, but the early game just felt very weird. BKM went down very early in just an odd way. Although I don't think False was expecting a Chesto Resto Thief Politoed, which put in a lot of work this game. Really cool set. Probably shouldn't have done as much as it did, but
I think his idea really was just like, okay, this Politoed is like the one thing on the opposing team that's like standing in between like my Heatmore and victory. So if I can just like keep like hammering away at this, I'll be fine. So yeah, like the Chesto Resto kind of like ruined that for him, and then left his BM at like kind of an awkward position where like it was gonna struggle to really come in. I still think he could have played a bit better, but like I don't think he necessarily played weird in the beginning, especially because like I guess he also anticipated Vulpix to be like scared of his BM and not like want to do anything weird. Like, yeah.
I guess like where I'm at is the whole early BM null sequence. I just don't think really worked out, and did put False in the position where his mons are dying really fast, and he's got to do a lot more offensive pressure now because there's no chance to out defensive Vulpix 03. Although the Sandslash versus Rhyme thing, I guess, kind of sucked for him because apparently it was just weird rolls to see what was going on, and he thought that knockoff would kill, so it's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, the knockoff into the Ice Beam thing was kind of big because you can definitely see False like with a huge advantage at that point if the knockoff killed, but then you reverse it and then the Rhyme survives and the Sandslash is dead, and it's like, oh shit, that's a really big momentum turn.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just about covers this.
Yeah, it was a fun game though. To be fair, like both teams are good.
I did like this game. It's probably my favorite game of the week. I just like being mean to False, especially because I know he's not going to agree with the assessment. That just makes it so much more fun.
He deserves it.
Don't we all love to bully False?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump to like the opposite end of the spectrum. Katut versus Ziri. This is just a free matchup win for Katut. Ziri's team was not it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Like, I think Ziri's team could have worked, but the idea of having a spinner as your main hazard control and then to be so weak to T spikes was just
and spikes in general.
That was, yeah, it's just not the play to be honest.
Yeah, I will say it's not so bad of a team. The stuff that matches you up is that common. Like even spikes and a spinner may be doable, but it's still like an unwinnable problem. And there's just nothing Ziri can do. It's just over.
Yeah.
That's game.
Yeah. I actually, in this team, I actually really like Katut's team. Like, Ziri's team is just a bit too problematic for me in this meta. But I really like how Katut's team is built, and I like how keep the Dustmore sort of alive with the pain split, and just to keep those mind games going with the spin. Does he not spin? Like, I really like his team in general.
Yeah,
especially with like the electric spam as well. Like, it's a really cool team.
It's a hit from Katut. It's a good hit. That's like 3-0 from him now. Clearly, with the this is good shit. He's got his stuff down right now.
Yeah, he's looking really good.
And I don't have anything more to say about this really.
Yeah, there wasn't much Ziri could do like playing wise. Like Katut just clicked the standard buttons, and there wasn't like a chance for Ziri to get in the game somehow.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second week in a row after like a strong start where like Ziri just like ran into like a matchup they just couldn't really do much about. I will say like at least like this week he brings something that I like understand you bringing, because like being weak to like T spikes plus Dustmore is like pretty specific, and I get overlooking that. Whereas like his previous week's previous week's team was like just bad. But I really do hope to see some like stronger builds, because I mean it's Ziri and Specs building, so like they gotta be able to pull up with something better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like they'll do well in the new meta.
Yeah, new meta is a big reset, so hopefully that's a call to action.
Yeah, it's a hard reset for anybody that's been either struggling or doing really well. Like, if you were doing really well, you're like, oh shit, I have to relearn this tier again. And if you were doing really badly, you're like, oh, fuck that old meta. This new one's gonna be great, and we're gonna win again. So, yeah, it's good. It's good for like, or good and bad for different people, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing is TJ versus Ham. sort of the opposite on the teams thing. I just want to give a shout out to Two Times the Tap, who said apparently he built the team TJ used last week, and I think had a hand in this one too. And we never knew that. It hadn't mentioned it here, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Because Two Times the Tap is now sourcing TJ with some actual teams. TJ can actually win games. Incredible.
Did TJ win last week? I thought he still lost last week.
Nah, he won last week. Because he had a good team.
That was the week where Falls brought.
That was like his. That was TJ's comeback. TJ had lost like 3 weeks in a row or something, and then he had the taunt Heatmore versus False and smoked him. And we were like, damn, that was a really good turnaround from TJ with the fun sets. No, that was Two Times the Tap stuff. That was what I wanted to.
When he pulled us fucking Jackpack Galactus.
Yeah. I felt bad when Two Times the Tap said that. I was like, damn, I should have shouted you out on the thing. Anyway, I don't know how much of a hand he had in this team, but I think TJ's team is both cool. I like it this week, and also definitely really nice versus what Ham is going for, because Ham has this weird fighting spam thing with a Hakamo-O and Hitmonchan as opposed to the actually good fighting types. That's already a problem. But then TJ has the Galar and the Tangela, and it's a no Iron Head.
Stunfisk is enough. Stunfisk is enough fighting resist for most people these days.
And it's a non-Iron Head Hakamo-O, and that's just rough. And this game, like, there was just very little Ham could do. He's had some like crazy games with these wacky CS teams and skipcan teams, and he's had some games that end up more like this.
Yeah, I think we can't expect too much out of Ham and ZS, just because it's first of all, ZS has never supported somebody, I think, in an official tour, so it's like that's a new experience for him.
We started out pretty good. I don't know what you mean. We can't they have had some pretty strong.
The whole point of the slot would be to nick games here and there rather than go 8-0, 9-0 like you'd expect Qatar or Zeri to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Soul Gazer in that case.
I know what you mean, but so far they have been more successful than that. So this is like a direct downgrade from the last couple of weeks, which again I think it definitely is partially to do with it's partially the really hard matchup, partially just. You're running Hitmonchan plus Hakamo-O fighting spam. I would expect a very hard matchup.
Yeah, like that. You have to be certain on your logistics there. Like, if you're bringing fighting spam, you have to be certain that you're not going to play exactly this matchup. So, I mean, honestly, not much actually happens in this map.
What's the point of match?
Fire resist?
Lilligant check. We saw no Lilligants this week, but we saw an awful lot of just prep for Lilligant, except for from TJ.
He already had like the scarf on Pheasant, and like he has the Gorgas.
Yeah, but it would still be pretty scary, and like it does. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This one's bulletproof, so no, it's just specifically to do Dragon Dance sweeping, I guess.
Yeah, but it never does any sweeping because it's weak and like. Bad.
Yeah,
I liked it in like the before the first DLC drop when its power level actually wasn't too bad and like its resistances were like very uncommon. But now you can just use better things. I don't get it.
Yeah, we have Phalanx, and Phalanx is really good.
It is. Nobody ever used that thing, but like that thing is amazing.
Yeah.
The thing with Hakamo is that I don't understand the weird sets, the DD3 attack sets, you know what I mean? If you go bulky on it, I can sort of understand, but like as soon as you go DD on it, it's like, come on, dude, it's just a Hakamo. You can't be expecting it to clean up games, like reliably speaking.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it was meant to do more like breaking with Hitmonchan for the Unpheasant and the sub Gorgeist to clean. Yeah, it didn't. Okay. The last two games are both stall games, so not so much actual gameplay to talk about here. The first one is Telenet, who brought a very interesting stall. It's more of like a it's more of like a 5+1 with an offensive Doug trio, and there's a Vespiquen and Flareon, and it's
Is
definitely
this
on
no
the
rocks?
no, it's Doug trio rocks.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, the next stall
Because I
is
wouldn't be
the next
surprised.
stall is no rocks. And
Yeah.
Obi has a pretty generic looking hyper offense with just Specs Behem as the big strong breaker of choice. I like it.
That's not hyper offense.
It's pretty much hyper offense.
It's no. It's like bulky offense.
Is it? Is it? But like all the mons, they're not actually that fat. Like they're all offensive.
No.
Yeah, you're right. It's
offensive.
not. It's not
No,
hyper.
it's
It's not
not.
hyper offense, but it is like it's offense. I wouldn't even call it bulky offense. It's
Balance.
definitely not hyper offense though. I don't know what. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I would.
That's not the point. It's not
bulky
hyper
offense at best.
but it's not. I wouldn't even say bulky. It's a very offensive team. I like it. It's pretty basic. I don't think there's much to say here aside from Specs BM is a cool thing that I think non-PU players rate a lot more highly than PU players. So I'm not that surprised to see it show up.
Yeah,
I mean,
This game-
I assume Avarice built this one anyway, but still, like,
I actually like Obi's team quite a bit. I think it's quite, as offenses go, it's quite a good one. But I also like the call from Selena to bring Storm.
oh god, yeah, it was also Rest Appleton. I forgot about that.
Whilst it was definitely not Stealth Rock Dog Trio, because I know Selena, and that's definitely not Stealth Rock as its last move.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually know, but I guarantee because it's Selena, it's definitely not Stealth Rock.
It's not Untier.
No, it was a good call. Obi's brought things that looked like you could stall them because they've been on the weirder and more different side. And this was not easy for Tlenet. Specs Behem he fucked up for Specs Behem. He tried to hard Pukamuku for no reason instead of sagging the Vespiquen, and it got bodied. And Rest Talk Appleton, that's a threat when you're using T-Spike stall.
Yeah. I actually really like that set. But Tlenet ended up just about putting it off. I don't think he played it optimally, but I don't think he would have played it any better if he brought balance, like a balance team.
The thing is, he
trying to
eventually
strap pressure.
won very early with a really nice Ironhead flinch on the Appleton when it was going to rest, and that's like I think Obi had to beat the Doug Trio by hitting it with Appleton, so there was always kind of going to be that flinch chance. It's weird when the stall is like the thing that you have to not get hexed by, but that was kind of always going to happen, if you know what I mean. Like that's Obi's team is weak.
I think that's just,
is weak to the Doug Trio, especially when it crit the Driftblim with Stone Edge earlier. So like,
But that's the thing, though. I think Planet needed Dual Lock to win because, like, that early Stone Edge crit meant that Driftblim could not defog. If he could defog, then, like, keeping the T-Spikes up would have been way harder for Planet, and, like, that would have just, like, made so much of a difference because that would mean that, like, the choice band Lifer is actually a threat that, like, lasts and does not get, like, stalled out. And that also means that, like, BM is more durable. Like, that's like pretty big for like, and then like also having to flinch the Appleton. Like, I don't think he could have pulled it off because like his team, like, I admire the guts to bring it, I guess, and like I get the idea and it's kind of cool, but it just has like a lot of very obvious holes, and I don't know.
Obi has had earlier wins where I don't really think he should have won, but now that he's here, I think he should have won this. I think the crit and the flinch were deciders.
Yeah, I think Selenet's team shows the advantage of using 5+1 stall versus full out like 6-month stall. Just because he had those odds. Like if he brought something bulky, just a Mawile, for example, over Doug Trio, he would have had, I think, close to zero chance in this matchup. But the fact he had Doug Trio to just put on that offensive pressure and eventually crit/flinch through a lot of things, that was something that he wouldn't have been able to do with just a straight up 6-month stall team. So
and that is a good segue into the next game, because we have Kepi versus Piff, and I know people are like, oh my god, Piff just brought like full fat stall, like the hazardless stall Piff has been doing. Why? Uh, I was really fucking busy and sick, and I did no prep or anything. And Soulgazer had to come in and focus on NU, and now he's playing RU because Roman dipped. Like he has to go play other tiers and stuff. So we basically ended up.
Roman dipped.
Roman had a big IRL thing or something. I don't know the details.
I see.
He can't play like the rest of Snake. So Soulgazer's now in RU. Point is, Piff didn't really have support this week, and just grabbed his stall and went for it. And this was just like instant matchup 6-0, like even more than anything else. SD Moldbreaker Lum Pincer was just gonna do the thing with healing wish support specifically.
Oh yeah,
it should have just been done.
Broken.
Kepi almost threw the game, but no, it was done.
Yeah, Kepi was insistent on bringing a lot of stuff that was good versus Stall, and all of us were like, yeah, okay, don't let us stop you bringing good stuff that's good versus Stall. And yeah, some of the calls, like the Healing Wish Patron, was inspired. So yeah, like a lot of that was credit to Kepi.
Yeah, and that was that. It was just a reasonably prepped stall team, arguably even a little bit on the side of like over prep for stall, just because the Lum Pincer I didn't expect at all. It doesn't need Lum. You typically would see boots, so that was pretty interesting. But for the most part, yeah, just super stall prepped versus the Piff stall.
Yeah, it's just part of the problem when you have I guess a status as bringing a stall. Some people will just bring more, like if Kepi, for example, had the choice between banking on offense matchup and banking on stall matchup, Kepi would always pick stall in this case, or more like breaking in this case versus Piff. So it's like, I guess you have to reasonably expect people to be prepared every now and then for your stall team, especially when you've built a reputation on it.
Yeah, no, like...
Yeah, no, we wouldn't... That was my point of going, we wouldn't have done it if I was just not supporting and he just didn't really have much else to roll with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a fine stall team for, like, PU stall, like, standards, because I haven't really rated stall highly this gen. Maybe this changes with the new meta, I don't know yet. But, like, this looks fine, and, like, I think, like, against just, like, an average team, this would be a very strong team.
Yeah.
I do feel like it has the tools to beat, like, most of the common things that you would typically run. But, yeah, like, just, like, diving into, like, your first week of playing Snake as, like, the famous stall player, and then just, like, pulling up a stall is just, like, I don't know, like, it's just, like, you're asking for it at that point, you know?
Yeah. To be fair to Piff, as Tammy said as well, like, the stall team just looks super annoying to kill. Like, I couldn't imagine having to deal with a Dustclops and a Tangela and a Puku and a Licky. Like, there's just, everything is so hard to kill. And I think that's part of why it's such a good team. But yeah, like, eventually when you have that much, I guess, passivity built in, some things like Pincer will come to bite you in the ass, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep. All right, I think
the choice and Dougie would have been amazing here, by the way. Just looking at like Kepi having actually no steel resists.
Yeah, we knew about Dougie, but we thought Throw and Hatcher, fuck it.
Yep. I think we can just throw it to next week's matchups. This is going to be pretty interesting. We have Vulpix 03 versus Katat. Vulpix undefeated so far. I think he's looked much better than Rosie Bear. Teams especially have been a notable improvement. But Katat is looking like the best player in the pool right now. It's a new meta, so we'll see if that continues. But gotta pull Katat.
Yeah, Katat's builds especially have been looking super impressive. Especially since he's not been supporting. He sort of has skin in the game now. Because it's easy when you're support to just be like, yeah, bring this, it'll probably work. But when it's your own record and your own, like, I guess, I don't know how to say it, but like your own like self on the line, I guess you have that extra bit of motivation to really build something well. So yeah, I fully expect Qatar to win this. Odds, probably, I'd go 70-30.
I have no idea what any of that motivation to build stuff was talking about, but okay, sounds good. What did that mean, Termi? Do you have any idea what that meant? Help.
I think he was just talking about how like you're gonna put in more effort into your team when you're the one also playing with it, as opposed to when like you're passing it on to somebody else.
Yes.
But like Katet had meant to play those weeks and then got subbed out. Is this about like the worst performance by IFO? Because I didn't even think IFO was doing bad. I don't know what you're talking about. What? When has Katet not been playing? What are you talking about?
Let's just move on, bro.
Okay. Okay. Obi versus Ziri.
That's actually a hard to call one, not gonna lie.
Ziri,
well, it's harder to call than it should have been.
It's a brand new meta, which is fascinating, because Ziri's last two teams have not been so good, and Obi's last two teams have, I think, been a lot better. I don't think Ziri's been playing bad at all, though. It was just a couple of misses in a row. But I don't know. New wacky meta, I can see Obi just pulling something out, and it either being like an awesome team, or even if it's not, just having the matchup anyway. So this is anyone's game.
Yeah, it's really coming down to like who can best puppeteer their way or puppeteer their player to victory. Is it Specs or is it Ava? So
I really think it just comes down to like
Ziri's doing some crap, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I mean, like, if we're talking about like, I just like the idea of thinking about like Vex and Ava is just like puppeteering Obi and Ziri. It just, I guess, it's some cool imagery, I guess, for PU mainers to be like controlling tournament player destiny.
By the way, has Ava been building all of Obi's teams?
I believe so. I have no reason to believe otherwise. I think they've just built everything for Obi.
As far as I'm aware, yeah. Kepi versus TJ. I don't know who's going to pick up the new meta better. That's really it.
Well, obviously it's going to be Kepi, so Kepi wins 100-0.
Oh, there you go. Termi, we're all in agreement.
I'm really favoring TJ, to be honest, just because like Kepi, I already like wrote this down in a post on the forum that you can read. But yeah, basically I just feel like Kepi still makes kind of clumsy mistakes in his games that I feel TJ is starting to kind of stop doing. Like, he plays solid games. Kepi still, like, does things suboptimally, where I feel like that could lose him a game in, like, a more or less equal matchup.
I completely agree with that. Kepi still had those kinds of struggles. I don't know that that's going to be as big as whoever picks up this new meta better. I don't think you're wrong in that analysis, though.
I think you're both haters.
So we got Ham versus Kink, who is back in over False after False went 0-2. Kink is weird because he had two just really horrible weeks, and then he's out, and then he subs in to play Soulgazer, and he plays out of his mind. He gets every play right and just outplays Soulgazer to win a game like he probably should not have. And now I don't know what to expect, but I think Ham's going to have the better team and just solid it out.
Yeah, I think you can't use the one blip to define the entire like sequence of events, to be honest. And Ham's been pretty consistent. A couple of misses here and there, but generally quite consistent and good at winning the games that he should win. So I think it's not a surprise to favour Ham. I'd probably go like 65-35 in Ham's favour.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then Piff versus Tlenet. Tlenet's probably gonna end up with the better team here. Let's be real. I don't feel super on top of this. Piff. I'm not super on top of this new meta. Maybe Piff will come up with something excellent. I hope he does. But I'm still trying to catch up here. I'm like, oh god, this is all weird as fuck. So that's kind of where I feel right now. But that's not based on anything as much as low self-esteem. I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it yet. It's a fun meta. It's a cool meta. But am I doing good tournament shit yet? No.
Yeah, I think with in this matchup, I think it's going to come down to what Leonard brings for the most part. I think, honestly, what Leonard brings is more important than what Piv brings for the most part, just because I feel like Leonard has the capability of losing a game instantly, like turn one, but also winning a game instantly on turn one. And based on the replays, we haven't seen too much of too much of the middle. There's been a couple of games where he's just sort of had a bad matchup bled out over the course, but generally speaking, he lost the games quite early on. I think this is really close. Like, it's hard to call, but I think I favoured Leonard just because I have faith in him in a brand new meta to just abuse the most ungodly shit possible. So,
for sure.
50, 52, 48, I'd probably put it at.
All right.
Selena's gonna pull up with a ring stall. Don't ask me how it works.
No,
He'll pull up with terrain.
It's to cure the it's to cure the rest. It's to cure your rest on the Sliggoo. Duh.
Dude, he'll pull up with 5+1 stall, but it'll be terrain plus Jolteon.
Yeah. Okay.
Some crazy shit.
It is time for the final segment of every cast to Chad's Gimmick Corner. Termi, completely optional, but would you like to share anything on the Gimmick Corner?
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna share this set that I shamelessly stole from Soulgazer, but it's actually, it's good. This set's fire. Okay, so, you have Renargus. This is a cool new rocker that you should use. It's cool, it's good, but did you know that instead of just running boring stuff or just run 2 attacks with rocks, you run rocks with body press, iron defense, and rest. Now this, in theory, sounds stupid and useless, but it's actually really good. Because, okay, so basically you kind of wall throw regardless of its set, basically, because you can just iron defense up on that bitch, and as long as it doesn't crit you, you just rest stall it. And you do a lot with body press too. And you also consistently beat Kangaskhan. I really wish this thing got pain split, but since it doesn't, this is really, I feel the best you can do if you just, need your thing to function long term. And don't want to be reliant on, Wish Pass or something. So, I don't know, try it out. It's a lot better in practice than in theory. I like it. I rate it.
I think it's a cool set.
Yeah.
I think it works well because I personally like the idea of having a win condition built into, let's say, your stealth rocker, because you never know what happens in the middle of a game. If somebody sacks their random ice type because they thought, oh, I don't need to worry about Runerigus, and you pull out the iron defense, and then they realize, oh snap, my life pod can't kill this anymore.
Yeah, and
then
that's
you just
thing,
you straight up win the game.
There's a lot of teams that I've seen so far that I've also been falling into this trap myself, where teams are extremely physically biased, and if you just don't have a good special breaker, that Renargus can just keep sitting, and you're just gonna have to pray for a crit.
Yeah.
Because you're not really beating it with status, you're not beating it with your moves. It's really hard to kill.
Yeah, I think that's huge to mention. One of the reasons teams are very physically biased, and maybe that'll change. But for now, it makes things like the Iron Defense for Renargus, or something like Avalug as well, definitely improves them. I want to give a shout out to Leafeon, not like a crazy set, not like Sunbreaker Leafeon or anything. Just general Leafeon right now, I think is pretty good. It doesn't have the SPDF of other grass types to do the defensive job that's really critical with stopping Pincurchin and stuff. But as a breaker, it is really annoying. Just because that's not the kind of thing that most mons right now want to take. so it can kind of, you know, Fair Seed is the common grass resist, or some itemless grasses and stuff. And once you get a bit of chip on those itemless grasses, it definitely doesn't lack for setup opportunities and then just kind of hitting things. And if you're trying to revenge kill it with a lot of the physical mons right now, it's got that bulk. You know, like it's just Leafeon. It's nothing crazy. But Leaf Blade knockoff, pretty good pair of moves right there.
Yeah, I think knockoff, especially in this meta where it's like the spikes have become a bit more prevalent with Quill and Pharaoh. Having, I guess, an extra Pokemon which can add resist but also knockoff is pretty key as well. And Leafeon, of course, has good bulk.
It's nice also to not be easily revenge killed by either Lipard or a Lowland Dugtrio. That's really nice. You can add on a couple other things like physical Galarian Rapidash too. Even special kind of needs to be Life Orb to do like more than 60. But yeah, specifically not getting revenge killed by those two things, which right now feel to me like the main, fast mons. That's nice. That's
interesting.
Kanga, not so great at like faking it out.
Yeah, that actually leads me really nicely onto my gimmick, which is Lipard based. So as we know, Lipard is
based. Yes.
Lipard is pretty good. So I've been messing around as is archetypal to mess around with like Kanga spikes and stuff, and of course with heavy duty boots around, you kind of just want to like feel teams out with knockoff before you set up your hazards, as opposed to just setting them up instantly in previous gens. So I've been messing around a lot with Lipard, and a couple sets that I've been liking, like Choice Band with knockoff, Gunk, and Play Rough, and like U-Turn. But particularly Gunk is a super good coverage move that I think people are ignoring. Because people have actually started to run resist now for Lipard, so you actually need to run the coverage for them.
Wait, but what do you hit with Gunshot?
Alchemy, mainly.
Oh, you're right, that thing does exist. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, the Gapidash, you hit that as well. You hit just a bunch of random shit, to be honest, like, I guess Appleton to an extent. You also have the Poison Chance, but most of the time, if you just click Knock, like, and then you have the Gunk in the bag to hit the Alchemy, it's that's a good adaptation of the set. You can also run like C-Bomb, I guess, if you want to hit like Quagsire, but nobody's using that shit.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen any Quagsire, even though it seems pretty good. Just as a generic fat thing that hits toxic, it seems good.
For me, it's the inverse. Like, I've seen a shit ton of them of like I haven't played that much, but when I do play, like, half the teams seem to carry Quagsire. I think a lot of like the lower level players really enjoy it or something, and it's actually really annoying to kill, especially like the team that I had built, like the kind of Kang Spikes team that I really was enjoying. But like when it actually came down to beating Quagsire, I was like, oh, I actually don't really have anything for this because Ferroseed is my switch in, and all it can really do is like annoy it with Leech Seed or something, but it can also get burned. And like, I don't know, it's actually, again, like, the meta is really physically biased, so I feel like it can definitely do a lot. It's just like, usually your ground type, you also want to have like rocks or spikes or something on it, and that utility it does not provide, so I think it fits on a different kind of team. But I do think it's gonna find like a really solid spot in the meta once it's like kind of more settled down.
Yeah, and the last one, be it well, I have two more sets, but this second set is a bit more of an adaptation to the set which people currently use, which is, you know, to your standards for Death Throw, but instead of having Sleep Talk, just slap it on Toxic in that last slot. You hit a lot of the Psychics, you hit the Ghosts.
Sorry,
like,
what mod?
Throw.
Oh, Throw. Toxic Throw. Yeah.
Yeah. You just slap Toxicon, you smoke the Galar Quasula, the Kazola, and Alchemy, and basically everything, to be honest. It's really good.
Oh, good. I'll
the only
toxic the
problem obviously
Cursula so it can die. 2%
yeah, so it can actually. Obviously the only problem is that you don't have Sleep Talk, but just run an aromatherapy Pokemon, you idiot. And the last thing is Specs Electro Ball Jolteon in E-Terrain, because I am a masochist. That's all.
I think the Jolteon stuff is all going to be that stuff, though. Otherwise, it's just this weird, annoying to make work mon. But once you start going with, like, Yawn and Rain Dance Weather Ball and Copycat, that's when it actually gets funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it needs to do. Even or you know, rising voltage electric terrain stuff. That's not bad either. But yeah, Jolteon's just it's a wacky mon. I was trying to run Yawn Volt Switch, just hit Yawn and then Volt as they go into like Stunfisk or Inarigus or whatever. It just didn't do much.
I rate that, especially with like Spikes Up. That's pretty good. Like
it was funny.
I really like that you can just like have Boots Jolteon and just have like a Scarfer that does not actually need to be like a Scarfer, right? Like that's good.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't have the most success with it, but it's something I want to return to.
Yeah, that's all I have. Make sure you use Gunshot on your thing, Electroball on the other thing, and you're good.
All right, we should call it. It's been a hot second. So, thanks for coming on, Termi. It was
No problem.
lovely to have you here. And next week we'll be back with the new meta Week of Snake. Yay!
Oh, God. Who's going to get 6-0? Who's got mine?
Me. I'll get 6-0.